matchup they want.
Definitely some strong adjustments here from Afreeca Freecs going into game number 2. They're necessary after the results of game number 1. Cloud9, though, I do see a possibility of them lacking hard CC and setup for this team composition. A lot of theirs relies on hitting these skill shots or by good positioning from an Aatrox trying to chase someone down. So there definitely is a lot of room for outplay in this matchup.
Outplay is always exciting when you get the best teams in the world here at the World Championship. The last remaining teams from North America and South Korea here at Worlds. And Korea has not missed a semifinal since 2011 when they weren't even invited. Every year has been Korean domination or at least excellence, making the final or winning the title for the last 5 years straight now. North America has not made top 4 since 2011 when there were no Koreans. And so now to win a best of 5 over Korea, for Cloud9 to make their first semifinal since 2011, that would be historic.
I do think the title of the last hope versus the only hope, definitely a fitting one that has been bestowed upon this matchup.
And yet, I think personally, Kobe, that history has never meant less than 2018, where so many memes about how League of Legends plays out both on a match-by-match level and also on a calendar level just haven't happened. SKT, TSM, not at Worlds. The Korean dominance right now in a kind of a whimpering status, 1-0 down with the potential elimination of the home region from the World Championship. Seems like there's a short pause at the start of the game here, maybe some configuration issues, but we just want to get into this one as it's such a fun matchup.
I do agree with that point, Papa Smithy. It kind of feels like in the past, when people give you the rose-tinted glasses answers of, you can follow your dreams, you can be whatever you want when you grow up, it sounded a bit hollow. And yet this year for League of Legends does ring true.
It does feel quite a bit different here this year. Now, I think we had the same issue as last week. Svenskeren spilled some of his glorious water onto his keyboard. I think he's getting a replacement. So about 2 minutes of the ETA I've been given coming into this one as we are paused before the game starts. And is this a replay? No, it's a new one.
Oh!
Or it might be the same. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's the same person in the same jersey.
Oh, we said it's so important in best of 5s to adjust and be able to adapt, yet Svenskeren with the same water mistake that he has shown already at Worlds.
I've been confirmed that was a new clip. I couldn't tell. That was the exact same action from back in week 2 of the group stage.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
Incredible.
He's picking champions with few skill shots. Maybe that's the right way to go. His eyes seem to be a little bit off today.
All right, we need to clean up the hand-to-mouth coordination here a little bit on the side of Cloud9. Get them situated before they go into a very important game number 2. As we've learned from yesterday's games, in these best of 5s, easily you have to put aside the previous results and completely focus on the task at hand.
And I'm a bit put across by the fact that we do eventually have this Rise selected for Kuro. He's already played 68 games, because of course they went to Rift Rivals, did Afreeca Freecs, they had to run the entire gauntlet. In this 69th game, it's his first game on Rise, it's his 22nd unique champion, and yet it's one that basically is bread and butter for so many other players.
I'm so glad we're seeing these picks come out from both teams in response to what has been shown in Champion Select early. We set up this game and these coaching staffs on both sides to be ready for adaptation and be willing to pull out these picks, trusting in their players for the matchups. And this time around, in response to that Rise,
Technique.
the Ahri definitely...
Sorry.
Svenskeren nailed that
as
trick.
reliable. But the important fact here on screen, it has been resolved. And Freak, take us in.
We are into game number 2. Cloud9 up 1-0 over Afreeca Freecs. And this is a very exciting matchup. It has been a weekend of upset victories. That first game was massive. Cloud9 did not let off the gas pedal. That was straight up into the right, nearly a straight line.
I do need to emphasize how important the jungle and the jungle pick was in the last game. Xin Zhao can initiate for Cloud9. Svenskeren started so many of their plays in the skirmishes. Graves can bring a tremendous amount of damage, doesn't play the same front line as Xin Zhao. It's much different with the smoke screen really bringing the utility with this champion.
And from there, I'm actually zoomed in on the level 1 because I felt they did a pretty poor job of tracking Svenskeren in the early game. You got off a level 2 gank on the Xin Zhao, which shows you that Afreeca were working with pretty limited information. So some way to curtail what ended up being such a high-tempo game with Spirit reacting to the proactivity of Svenskeren. And I say the word Spirit, of course we must remember that with Mowgli in the lineup, he was able to watch game 1 with the coaching staff and should potentially have some insight into Svenskeren's path.
It's a big point, and honestly, they should have been prepared for a level 2 bottom from blue side. That, to me, has been the most common jungle start that I have seen all of Worlds, coming off of that red buff, pathing down through this side. Yet Cloud9 did find success with it. Early on, a little bit of harassment onto Kramer. You know, the advantage should go to Lucian Braum in a Kai'Sa Alistar matchup here. They're trying to get a health advantage to push the wave.
Yeah, somewhat importantly, Alistar almost doesn't have a level 1, has to walk up and pulverize you, and good players won't let you really land that anymore. So this should be the push lead, level 2 coming in first. Both junglers, leashless red buff. And we have the Xin Zhao for Mowgli going over to Krugs to get a lot of XP in this farm, as Svenskeren will be spotted by a ward going for this bot side scuttle.
There's not many junglers that will actually provoke a Xin Zhao to go for pretty defensive pathing. But Xin Zhao walked in and put a very late red ward right where you see the blue ward on the top side of the river. That was spotted by C9, and that's why they're playing bot side with the Braum pushing up the level 1 strength of the duo lane. They're able to guarantee plenty of inroads, at least onto that Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, very important to not get controlled in a double scuttle opening from a Graves. If the Graves gets control of the vision of the river, it can be very, very difficult. We mentioned the quick speed at which he can farm, can also, you know, start to take over as far as the range advantage. Right now, Mowgli walks over the C9 vision, so they should know that he is in this area of the map and invading towards the blue buff.
The first thought here of Mowgli is that his blue buff was stolen because he saw the enemy support walk up. Mowgli's actually going to get onto the blue anyway, and looks like he's going to have, with his smite up, the ability to steal this one away.
Nice by Mowgli here, yeah, taking away a pretty important camp. He's going to save the smite in case he needs something else. Level 3, double buffs.
Now look at this move from Svenskeren. He went cross-map to grab wolves and is only now heading over to answer that blue. That's why we see Tucson hovering up here. He doesn't have any vision to place on it though, and Cloud9's pushing bottom lane is what allows you to continue on with this invade. You can see on your screen Zeyzal goes up to help Svenskeren, and we'll see how much counter jungling they can actually get done.
And the question is how many camps do get taken away. Mowgli only took the 1 camp, just the blue buff, then left. Though, look at this, he has not been spotted coming into mid.
Jensen should be hovering on the bottom side of the map. He knows his jungler's on that side, but he's very far towards the top side here, very close to Mowgli, who can charge in. Kuro looking for a Rune Prison.
The Rune Prison to flash for, they're gonna get the knockup as well. There is no way out for Jensen, but he can certainly try. It won't matter. First blood of the mid lane for Afreeca.
And I love your call there, Kobe, because you're right. You usually tend towards the side that you have backup on. Instead, Jensen was being greedy or trying to play a mind game. But apart from game 1, where you could really exploit those mind games, this time he's exploited. First blood of Afreeca Freecs.
Revenge for Kuro here, very quickly into the game. Jensen, no movement at all. Instant flash initiation from Kuro. Jensen knows he's dead after that, and that is going to be a huge push of the minions as well to allow for some extra CS and a recall for Kuro. Now, all that being said, offensively blown summoner spells are just as punishable as defensively ones.
And meanwhile, the bot lane can be punished as well. Ignite is up there, and Tucson has to jump away with the flash. And good health bar damage there. C9 holds on to most of their summoners.
Well, that was some high-octane stuff, but this time the gank doesn't come off. We've been ignoring topside. No buy yet. Keen wants to stay in lane for the 1150 gold for that first buy onto the Hex Core upgrade, but this time Afreeca Freecs sticking the landing. They're happy for this to be a slower-paced game. Only a single kill in the first 5 minutes.
And that's so big for the mid lane here, because now Afreeca Freecs have 2 solo lanes that are winning. Despite the loss in game number 1, Afreeca Freecs matchup of the Victor into Aatrox is a successful 1v1 in isolation. Bottom side has been pushing for Cloud9 and has found success, but now we're seeing jungle attention down there to try and turn this story around.
Do something behind them. Now, C9 does have both of their flashes available, plus the summoner heal, but 3v2 can be difficult, and that's Briar's Bloom, but that was Rise hitting it anyway, so it actually now ensures that no one's waiting behind there.
Oh, they're on a ward.
Yeah, the Kai'Sa can walk to the brush and shoot a W to stop the recalls, and instead, C9 just wait. Yes, they are still hatching this ward, though, and Freeca gonna stay. They're gonna wait and try to find this 3v2 kill. Some of that CS is being bled out as Sneaky Had to give up a couple CS waiting, but this wave should still push to C9. They don't have to play too far up here. And Tusha might see it as a window with that Q down for Zeyzal. But still no pressure just yet. C9 actually gonna walk up to shove it out.
He's gonna stick for that cannon.
Yeah,
as soon as he goes for the shot on the cannon, that might be it.
He's gonna find his stun, but Zeyzal can jump back to his teammate, and he's gonna do that right here. The shield is forward. Now where's the knock gonna come for? He's gonna deal some damage into the trade back, and Mowgli has to flash away and get healed out. C9 only lost a single summoner.
All of that time for Mowgli spent on the bottom side waiting while Svenskeren farmed away on Graves, only to blow his flash. Now Svenskeren, this Graves, should go very, very offensive invade with this level advantage.
And Kobe, you see how tricky it is to brawl and skirmish with Lucian Braum as a 2v2. The Guardian pressed the attack, gave them both the defense and offensive capability to try to win that one, and honestly they did. They forced a defensive summoner away. Svenskeren doesn't find a camp or a Xinjiao to contest, but does get a nice deep ward onto this wolf camp.
One thing you mentioned a while ago was offensively blown summoners being punishable as Kuro on the rise. The problem for C9, of course, is he has cleanse, so even if Jensen lands a charm flash, he just cleanses, EWs the Graves, and walks away. The gank pressure on mid feels so low from C9 compared to last game.
Yeah, and that cooldown on cleanse is almost back up. Very, very short one, so he'll feel pretty confident, even though Jensen, now on level 6 on Ahri, is the possible all-in.
And Jensen did go for Ignite as his summoner. Doesn't go for Cleanse against Ryze, Xinjiao, and all that pressure. Usually you see Catalyst skipped over. It's probably going to be a pretty squishy Ryze until much later when the Seraphs is evolved. So there will be windows with Graves and Ahri having insane burst potential, and even Graves from downtown with the ultimate. So that Ryze will have to continue to be on the ball, and the only defensive vision he has is control wards top side and the single spotting blue ward on the bottom side.
And overall, we have a very different game from game one. Afreeca Freecs on a 600 gold lead, despite this Drake going over to Svenskeren right now. The top lane feels much more normal. The mid lane actually advantaged for Kuro, when just last game, it was the biggest CSD at 15 of the entire tournament, regardless of matchup. So that was a huge 180 now this time with first blood and a farm lead for Kuro. Overall, this is Afreeca playing the game they want to. Much slower, less kills, more control.
Yep, they have a small gold lead here, still left over from the first blood bonus, despite the CS lead in bottom lane for Sneaky and Zeyzal. Those two have definitely performed admirably, absorbing pressure as well. Svenskeren does not get any autos off onto Mowgli. He did just finish up that Scuttle Crab for them though, so secures the vision.
Yeah, still playing for vision is Cloud9 there. Is 20 gold earned for a trinket, and Svenskeren waiting to see if he has a way into this bottom lane. Keep in mind, it is a flashless Alistar for several minutes now. And on top of a control ward, he'll help Jensen go for this blue buff, and you can see Mowgli just walking away. They know that C9, despite giving up that kill, have actually gotten pressure back into the mid side. And with Zeyzal roaming up as well, the bot lane having pressure, despite the Mowgli gank. C9 having a couple of winning lanes, but now Licorice being chased on by Keenan. Health bar is very, very low. It's a very quick revive. This could be the solo kill, and indeed it will! Keen, the best top laner at Worlds, coming in, finds it.
Trust in the process here on the Victor pick. They're liking this one just like Licorice has his pocket pick, the pocket pick Victor. It's doing its job, and with the Kleptomancy gold and now the solo kill, Keen is threatening to run away with this lane.
All right, Afreeca Freecs immediately send Mowgli up here to clear out some vision. That is going to make Licorice have to play even more cautiously. Now, he didn't blow his flash in that kill because he knew he had already been outplayed. Keen with the extra speed boost there off of the Q, an easy follow to be able to secure that one.
So wait to see if Keen can be one of those big leverage points that Afreeca can use to win this game. Still only a 700 gold difference within arm's reach for both squads, as we keep waiting for the next play from Afreeca as Ryze can roam down, almost in roam warp range, but gonna walk back to mid.
Yeah, big miss pulverize there from Tucson in lane. That sometimes happens when you hit WQ too quickly and you're not in range for the W to go off. A lot of older players were very used to having to hit those two keys in quick succession to be able to pull off the combo. Top side though, this is going to be more.
Yeah, 2v1 combo here as Licorice is going to try to get away, but Keen gets out from the slow, the flashing forward. They can knock down Licorice despite him blowing that cooldown, and indeed they're going to have it. Keen certainly has the spells and not blowing a single summoner. Licorice's flash away does not work.
That's why they had Mowgli clear out the vision previously. Immediately he returns, and now it is Afreeca Freecs with the early game lead.
And also that means the Rift Herald will be pretty open to them now that top lane has died twice. be playing even more defensively. Bot side of the map with the earlier power spikes from C9 has been vacated. That's why the first Drake went the way of C9. In the mid lane,
First big play in the mid lane now. The ult's gonna come forward. No Charm Ignite is in there, but the shield for Kuro. He's gonna get it! What a play for Kuro! Svenskeren gets the trade from downtown.
Kuro's first gets his revenge again, though, in the 1v1. We mentioned in Champ Select the difference here. So important for Ahri to land the charm. Without that one, not enough damage to finish it. In the end, Svenskeren comes to cut his celebration short with the ultimate on Graves, though. It's still front of the map for Afreeca Freecs.
and it's definitely a confidence play. Speaking of confidence, they missed the pulverize.
The double knockup for Zeyzal builds a lot of space, but that Braum is out of mana, so a stun towards a very tanky Alistair doesn't mean a whole lot, but Sneaky might want to walk forward. 3v3 is both junglers show, and a quick ceasefire down to the bottom lane.
This game's ratcheting up a little bit quicker now after a slow early pace. Seeing Licorice push up, he knows Victor was in the mid lane, but suddenly we're going for blow after it was pretty one-sided for Afreeca.
Also should mention, since we didn't talk about it earlier, the Glacial Augment for Jensen. This rune allows the extra slow you see there on your screen off of the Twin Shadows activation. As soon as the ghost hits, it's going to leave behind that long ice trail, which will give more slow, allowing him an easier time of hitting those important skill shots.
It also allows you to lane with incomplete information a bit safer because you can use it off cooldown to spot the enemy that is closest to you. When we had GP10 items in the mid lane, there was that same Twin Shadows effect. Now you have to itemize fully into it, but the payoff with the Glacial Augment is big. And speaking of payoffs, Goran Tucson lying wait.
And he gets just barely over the wall. I think the ulti was burned for part of that one. I'm not quite sure, but either way, staying alive now. Ignite onto Kramer. They've got to kite away as Mowgli shows up as Svenskeren in the turret. This could be a 3v2, but reinforcement for Afreeca not too far away. Kramer low, has to heal through the ultimate, going to stay alive. Now Rin Prison is going to catch out Jensen's going to try to get away with this one, but a flash pulverize might just catch another mid lane kill, and Jensen dropped for the third time.
The bot lane, though, they're going to continue the push. Nice kill, but they'll lose objectives for this.
Well, first turret bottom lane, but Mowgli able to walk away pretty cleanly. That's some gold back into C9's pocket, but look at this. Keen still answering up on the top side. He'll knock down Licorice. Turns out this is a taste he would like, as the health bar is low, and the second solo kill of the top lane for Keen.
Yeah, they decided to go right back into the Aatrox versus Victor matchup, and this time around, Keen actually has time to make it work.
Credit to Afreeca for separating the game loss from the strategy fail. The game one was lost, but not due to the Victor. The Victor pick was doing fine in lane. This time with a lot more pressure around the map, no 50 CS mid lane lead. The Victor's styling onto Licorice, a sobering moment for a top laner who has had so much success in this calendar year.
Cloud9 getting a bit too full of themselves after the game one dominating victory. This time around, both solo lanes, 0 and 3. What will Afreeca Freecs be able to do with it, though? Because the gold itself is close due to the bottom lane advantage. Sneaky and Zeyzal, giant CS advantage, and have taken the first turret bonus gold.
It means this game is only 500 apart, with the Cloud Drake maybe edging that one a little bit closer.
Two levels. Two levels to lead for Keen here as Licorice just has to spot. He doesn't have a control ward. He doesn't have any defensive pressure at all. And we're seeing a movement in the map. Together, Kuro and Mowgli, with their successes, actually find bot side control now that the duo lane has gone top.
That's pretty big for Afreeca now, picking up this Infernal Drake. That's where their power lies, but you can see both of these weak lanes being shoved away from farm. Licorice not allowed to touch bot lane, but neither is Kramer allowed to touch top. And Svenskeren got himself a Rift Herald, so top lane tier 2 could even be under fire here. And the game remains very, very close as C9 gets their solo gold onto Sneaky once the wave is gone. And we'll see what comes in next.
Sneaky definitely the hope here for Cloud9. Double AP solo laners for Afreeca Freecs, though, continue to push. Keen with his Sheen, finishing off that turret very easily and pushing in further onto Licorice. 3 levels is absolutely insane. Each individual level, generally even more than 500 gold worth of value in just stats, not to mention the skill ups that you get. So it is a tremendous advantage.
And it's one of those things where C9 want to downplay where they're weak and accentuate where they're strong, and that's Svenskeren grouping with the duo lane. I actually thought they might consider putting the Rift Herald top, getting the inner turret, and then looking for a Baron play. They have very strong Baron damage with Lucian and Svenskeren on the Graves. But for now, they're going to continue the top side control, but conserve the Rift Herald, hoping to get the mid lane turret from.
49 CSD at 15. Yeah, that is 2.5 times as good as it was in the first game. He has been allowed to flourish up there, and flourish he has.
And this is after they already got a look at it. In game number 1, he was up 19 CS. Licorice said it's just fine. Here, teleport top, though. They're looking to make a team play.
Here's the big play up towards Kramer and the rest of the squad as Licorice shows up. Kuro's right in front of him, though, and the chase might be forward. What can Cloud9 find? A big pulverize. Look at the bot side. Keen, he's almost shut down, but he gets the shield, and Svenskeren cannot kill him off, and that is absolutely huge. Finally a trade, but it's still Afreeca winning. It's 2-for-1 to them, and they're chasing for a little bit more. Can they get that next kill? Will they find the next pickup? The flash in, almost in range. One more spell will do him in. 3-1, Afreeca win the fight.
The tables have turned. Afreeca Freecs are running this game. 16 minutes, 20 seconds into it, and they rout Cloud9.
And that's such a big moment for them. Yes, Keen goes down to the red smite from the Graves, but that's the only win on the side of C9. Afreeca are going to break the mid lane turret. They're going to finally bring parity to the amount of turrets taken, and now the gold lead is still not massive, but every time we see these extended skirmishes, they go the way of Afreeca.
All right, let's take another look. Cloud9 set it up. Teleport comes in from Licorice. Everyone drilling in through the Tribe Rush, and actually the Twin Shadows, very good use there from Jensen. Svenskeren not able to finish him off, though, as you said, until the red burn does tick down.
And this Ace of Predator replay has really fought on two fronts. On the top side, the double pulverize coming through from the Alistair buys a lot more time for Kramer, who largely comes out of full health in this fight. Kuro wants to get some answering kills. He's got some vengeance after game 1. That's going to be cathartic for him. He takes down Licorice, and now C9 are starting to put down some control wards. They know they're really feeling pressure to get a pick and also to get some value out of this Rift Herald.
Absolutely huge performances from the solo laners of Afreeca Freecs. Keen, we've been watching him bash top lane the whole time, and Kuro on this rise, the first of the split for him. Now looking to solo kill at Jensen. Look at the damage he's got, and a little bit more is all he needs. Can't quite get in range, but look at the power he has with only Merc threats for defense. A lot of damage for him.
It almost feels like every solo lane assignment goes the way of Afreeca Freecs, and that is a real big problem for C9. Yes, they have a strong duo lane, but leveraging the power when the side lanes are in such a rough spot is going to be difficult for C9.
Still, Cloud9 continue to fight. Rift Herald activation in the mid lane does get them another turret, some more territory to work with. That's all of the outers now taken down. The problem for them is that they don't have the capabilities to fight their way in for the deep vision. They have to be very careful about setting those wards up.
Coming down throughout this bottom river, is trying to set up Kramer for success to get him that farm, to get him a lot of solo XP up to level 10. Has actually managed to tie back with Sneaky, and look at Licorice once again. Forced off the turret, forced off the wave, and that turret's almost certainly a better pickup than this red buff that C9 grabbing the top side of the map. So Afreeca Freecs leveraging more of a lead, 2,500 up, is sizable at 19 minutes here.
Definitely splitting the map. We'll see if C9 can get any Baron control from this. Of course, the Baron not spawning for the minutes. Top lane.
They're going to find a stun to Kuro. The cleanse not enough. They burst him down. And Victor's alone versus 3. They certainly have the damage. Even Zazel survived.
That's not the Cloud9 member you were looking for, Kuro. Sneaky is the strong one, and they do not hesitate. Kill for Cloud9, tower for Cloud9, and they strike back.
Really big tempo moment with the Baron about to spawn means the top side is completely vacant for the side of Afreeca. You need some way to fight around. C9 find their moment. Kuro feels so comfortable walking up. He's level 13 with his Ceres transform, and yet he dies almost instantly.
Yeah, let's go over the previous actions of Kuro. He just flash forward, killed off Licorice. Then he chases Jensen out of his own lane, 1v1. However, 3 members of Cloud9 lying and waiting for that counterattack do pull off some sort of right thing for this game.
It makes the game closer to tied, only 300 gold apart, and a huge shout out to Zazel's aim on that ultimate. Got 2 knockups out of that press, and that, I think, helped really allow that dive on Victor. And now Mowgli pulled back in. They might have the damage, jumps to the blue buff. The ult, the blue! Even the map is on Cloud9's side.
C9 Golem with the last hit onto Mowgli. It feels like in the last 30 seconds only, things starting to turn around. But again, do not forget how strong these solo laners for Afreeca Freecs are. Despite Kuro going down, huge advantage there, and now he's got a Banshee's Veil to protect him from the charm.
But Kobe, don't forget how strong Svenskeren is. He's picked up the lion's share, in fact, all of the kills that Cloud9 have. Black Cleaver, Warrior, and a Hex Drinker. Wherever he goes, I think you should cower in fear if you're the team of Afreeca Freecs.
All right, you sold me, Papa Smithy. I love me a jungler with all the kills. Sven Skaren here on Graves is the correct champion to do it as well. DPS output in the form of AD for C9 will be their story this game.
Yeah, not more than yesterday. We saw Ning have a huge game on the Kindred. Building Infinity Edge on that one. Probably not the build for Sven Skaren here, but we have absolutely seen hard carry jungle performances before as the blue gets handed off over to Jensen. He's going to make his way over. We have a tied game, but though the gold is the same, keep in mind Afreeca do have an in-combat Drake with the Infernal. Cloud9s do not do much to help you kill other enemy champions, and we are in a very close one here.
Now that we are closing in on this mid game, we get to start setting up these fights and how they can come about from so many different angles. Afreeca Freecs do have the Realm Warp as well as the Killer Instinct from Kai'Sa to allow them to follow up and start plays across the map if Cloud9 don't have the vision set up. Meanwhile, for Cloud9, we mentioned the outplay possible in all of these champions and how difficult it is to land those CC combinations.
Now, it is difficult if you think of it as a very standard pick comp. Okay, the Charm missed, okay, the Braum Q missed, but remember, because it's Glacial Augment Ari, you're transferring late game power because Glacial Augment's a utility keystone in for extra catch. Now the Twin Shadows is that big slowing field. Now also, there's other ways like the GLP to find the catch, and they have insane burst with how strong Sven Skaren is to profit off the pick that Zeyzal and Jensen will be tasked to provide.
Exactly. In addition, the area that Braum can control, this is one of the biggest strengths of the champion. YC9 have picked it yet again. Very big zone control for possible team fights. And that's what they will try and use to make it easier to land their damage. Here we go, though. Most of the top control given over to Cloud9. They're putting wards around Baron, while we see Afreeca Freecs investing in their split push on the bottom side. They're really trying to get a lot of value out of that Victor into Aatrox advantage that they still have.
And look at that vision. Afreeca cannot see anywhere around Baron. There's a blue trinket used. Doesn't even spot a champion. Only knows that they're not at Baron. Whoever else they might be, but C9 does show themselves now as they wait for the mid lane, but 5 strong. They could go for some kind of flash engage into somebody. C9 in the wake. They know that Aatrox not here, so Alistar goes in, finds a bit of damage, but not a whole lot. To jump back for Sven Skaren might have been enough. And here comes Teleport. C9 want the fight. A double knockup. Gonna look for Keen here into this one. Mowgli gonna get brought out by the Realm Warp. A nice ult there by Kuro. But Tucson, he's burning down. That's one kill picked up. And it's time for Keen to flash away. But Licorice is still on the chase. Burning down. He's gonna be revived. Watch out. Jensen has to ult right back out. This will be a disengage now. 1-for-0. Cloud9 win that fight slightly.
So important that Tucson failed the headbutt Pulverize because they got no value out of the Alistar engage. He just takes free damage as the teleport is completing. So the 5v4 ended up being a lot more even.
And a flash forward caught Mowgli, but he's turning back on. The stun's gonna mean he cannot find Jensen, and it's now a second kill with a jungler dead. This could be a lot. Kuro gonna jump the wall, and he's flashless, and it's gonna be sneaky, jumping over. He'll find the stun. He's got reinforcements. 3 straight kills for Cloud9.
And with those kills, that is the jungler and the mid laner. Cloud9 still have a control ward on Baron. They still have the damage to force it, and here they go.
The discipline from Afreeca isn't working for them. The catching, the pick factory is so important. Baron has started. Aatrox not here.
Yeah, Licorice was bottom lane, trying to get the bottom lane pushing, but he's joining the fight now. Here they go. Tucson is heading in.
Very few tools to steal. They're going to charm Alistar, turn for the kill. Tucson has to flash away, but here comes Aatrox. Headbutt Pulverize to buy space.
He's dead.
The knockdown Licorice, 1 kill in, but there should still be no spite. This should not be a miss. And the Baron's picked up. Now for the 4v3 team fight. Kramer gets slow. They're all slowed. Look at the explosions. The kills just keep coming through. And Keen stands no chance. A delayed ace for Cloud9.
The Twin Shadows freeze the entire river over, and Afreeca Freecs cannot escape. C9 get the Baron, and they get the kills. Only 10 seconds into the Baron, it's almost a 3,000 gold Baron power play.
They go all the way to the start of it, guys, and with Tucson failing headbutt Pulverize, the 5v4 means nothing. The turn is super powerful, and from there, the extended clip here will show you that C9's amount of catch and sheer burst is what separates them from Afreeca.
My goodness, the continued layers of engagement there as well from Cloud9 coming out. This is a jump forward at the second time where they're able to go in on Tucson. He does pull back and they finish off Licorice, but here is the Baron smite and then turn.
Watch all the slowing fields you'll see as this clip goes on along the ground. 3 in a line, look like mini rumble ults in some way. And those slowing fields hit everyone. Even the Victor at the end is standing on top of one. Svenskaren's feeling pumped. NA should be as well.
Hextech GLP did work in that fight. Smiles and laughter, and they're back on the map pushing with a 5,000 gold lead. A wave clear. It's not too bad from Victor, but these are buffed up minions with Baron. They take half damage and they are still pushing forward. And this is going to be inhibitor turret cracked. And when the turret falls, most teams know to give up the pressure. If you won't play with a turret, you shouldn't play without defenses in front of you. A little bit of wave clear, but 2 buffed up cannons is all Cloud9 needs. They will crack the inhibitor line, you have to assume. There's not much of a defense for Afreeca here, but they are still making Cloud9 work for it. Slowing down every single second of that Baron buff as long as they can. They've weathered through the first half of it. Charm's gonna land on an Alistar, ulti across the back line. And still the health bar is going down. The jump forward for Jensen, looking for that first kill. Tucson is low, he's slowed. He finds himself a knockup, but it's not gonna be enough. NC9 can now signal to go for the Nexus, to go for the 2-0 start to the series.
They've got Graves, they've got so much turret damage to keep on this.
And here they go, as the cage comes down, looking at that very first turret in front of the Nexus. 5v4, when does Afreeca stop them? Because C9 are not slowing down. In comes Mowgli, but not for much damage. And it's gonna be the reset. C9 gonna back off of this one now with the inhibitor gone and one Nexus turret falling as well. Zay's gotta watch out. He could be jumped on. He's not gonna be.
Freecs threatening the trail, but look at that gold ticker in the top right corner. 5,500 Baron power play for Cloud9. An Infernal Drake on the way out. Inhibitor already destroyed. That was incredible.
Should be the game-defining moment, guys. This should be C9 finding a way to cement what now feels like the first meaningful lead of the game. As this clip goes on, the culling does so much damage to Kramer that even though we always talk about the scaling of Kai'Sa, the value of the Kai'Sa has been close to nil.
Look how Jensen is playing this Ahri as well. They go in, him plus Svenskeren, a huge chunk. Then he goes in with the second engagement, GLP used for the slow zone. Kuro does get himself out with the Realm War.
Remember, that is another tool that they can now no longer use to defend themselves. And look at that game, it took so long, but it was actually Cloud9 finding the better decision-making in the late game. This is a team that back in the NALCS had good early games but could not shot call in the end. They have solved this issue, gotten better and better throughout Worlds.
This is also a team, this is also a franchise that invested the most into young talent as well as innovation. Reaper has never been scared to put out a new champion, to put out new item combinations, to put out a new way to play the game, and Cloud9 are flourishing off the back of both of those investments.
But people love to talk about the rookies. I want to talk about one of the old dogs, Svenskeren, who of course came to group stage on SK into TSM, never got out of groups. Here in a quarterfinal game 2, he's rocking it 8-1-3 onto the Graves, and he is the one that has been the pivot point for game number 2.
This year has been the glorious return of Svenskeren to the world stage. And now Cloud9 looking to finish game number 2.
It could be the glorious entrance of North America into the semifinals for the first time in 7 years. They've got work to do. Mowgli certainly has nowhere to go. A statue that has now been fallen. A monument to South Korea may be dropping in the quarterfinals for the first time ever as C9 look to push in. There's work to do, but they've got minions flooding into the base. Looking at a 2-0 start to the series, waiting as bot lane pushes in, but without Baron buff, Victor can wave clear. C9, 5v4, a little bit of super minions, now pushing in towards the Nexus turrets, looking at the big play, the knockups in the back line, the dive in for every kill they can find. Jensen gets one, and the revive onto the Aatrox. 5v3, the turrets are falling, and they can turn simply to the base, and they're doing it here. The backline dive for Kramer, but it is not enough. Then Cloud9, 2-0 in the series.
Polite applause comes through from the Busan fans. They can appreciate good League of Legends. Korea usually provides that, but it's been the international opposition who have been on point at Worlds 2018. This game was closer for a lot longer, but in the clutch, the smart control of the top red side jungle into the picks that the Ahri and friends provided was shut down by the legendary Graves, and from there, a comfortable